Welcome to the sixth and final stage of Finnish Brutality 2019. This is the last stage of the entire match. Day 2. Movement. I will hand this off to Mike from Bloke on the Range for the setup.
Thank you, Brother Carl. Setup. There are 3 shooting positions: left, middle, and right. Shooter begins in either left or rightmost shooting position, rifle loaded and held piously at the low ready. The bag is in the leftmost position. Brothers Yiga.
Scoring. Anything less than 18 hits on the rifle still will be a penalty. Any hits acquired from any position other than prone will not count as a hit. The heavy bag only needs to be partially within the confines of the circle, and if anything is outside of the circle but touching the circle, that counts.
Procedure. At buzzer, shooter will engage the target with 2 hits, from prone only, with at least some part of them within the designated shooting area. Shooter will then move to the remaining 2 shooting positions and repeat, all firing from prone. So once the shooters on the other side of the bay and acquire their hits, they will table their rifle, on safe, pointed at the side berm. Shooter will then run downrange and move the heavy bag to the middle circle. Shooter will then run back to their rifle and repeat their engagement the other direction. Shooter will then table their rifle on the other table, on safe, point it at the side berm, run downrange and move the heavy bag to the last unused circle. Shooter will then run uprange, reacquire their rifle, and repeat the engagement back to the other direction, ending at the other side.
Are you ready? Stand by! Okay, if you are finished, unload and so clear.
All right, we've completed our 6th and final stage of Finnish Brutality 2019, arguably the most physical stage of the match. What do you think?
Well, I'm quite hurting.
Okay.
This is the first stage and the only stage where I actually regretted to put my elbow pads in.
Okay.
Because it was very heavy on the elbows. Getting up and getting back down. Well, that was one thing. And the second thing was that the sandbag that was used on this stage was quite heavier than the one before.
Considerably heavier. Yeah. I don't know how heavy it was, but it was easily double of what we shot in the other.
Yeah, at least. I at first, I ran there, tried to pick it up, throw it over the shoulder, just didn't go.
Yep.
And you actually needed those extra couple of steps, and then you actually did you
just
throw
picked it
over
up
the
in my
shoulder,
arms. No, I
Cradled it like a baby.
yeah, I grabbed it and I was like, no, this isn't going over my shoulder. Cradling a baby is something I know. Let's just do that. and then by the second lift, I was like, no, cradling a baby is not going to work. So we're going to
Yeah, but that
waddle
worked
like
for
that.
you.
It
That
worked.
worked very well.
Displayed cowboy stance and just go for it. But I was already hurting after stage 5, and that hurts now. I pulled a muscle down there, and I was just thinking, please, can I be able to turn it off for the couple of minutes it's going to take me, please? And the buzzer went, and I managed to turn it off.
And you found new muscles, though?
I don't know yet. I haven't quite come down from that stage.
You'll find out tomorrow, the next stage. Typically, it's a 2-day settling in.
Yeah, we're going to start a bit of an ibuprofen regime, I think.
I will say this. This was probably not my best stage. It actually was not my best stage. This is one of those things that, these are the kind of things that should be in a match, and I think as a match designer, you should absolutely include things that are not your best skill set.
Yeah.
And it's like, in fact, those are the most important things to include in match design. And honestly, designing this stage, I'm like, this is not a stage that I would design for myself if it was to attribute to my best skill sets or attributes.
True.
And that's just fine. And so I got through it. I finished it. It was ugly, and it was okay. I had a stomach full of lunch after that. Actually, we all did.
Vomiting was definitely an option on this stage, but nobody did.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
We've had vomit at brutality matches before, but just got through it. At the end, I will say this, honestly, when it came introspective time and I watched your run, which was incredible.
Thank you.
And your run, which was excellent. I think you were the best of the three of us with your
Yep.
foul, which is like,
Yep.
wow, right? Goes to show you what a battle rifle still can do. You were fighting against the odds and still did an incredible score.
And
Thank you.
one thing that I would like to mention here is you were not the best because you were the fastest, with the running. You were the best because your shooting was almost perfect.
One makeup shot.
One makeup shot, and you were faster with the FAL on those targets, like double tapping than I was with my RK. Yeah.
That rifle fits me, and that's something for the overall match and gear
Yeah.
wrap up. But what's interesting about that stage design is you had to choose easier movement with the rifle or less movement running to sandbags. And left-handers had an advantage there because they could have both. So we all started on the right, and when you get to a shooting point, really you've got to drop down in as close to your natural alignment as possible. And we right-handers, to avoid the 180, with the lighter rifles you could keep hold of the pistol grip. This for me was just not an option with the musket. So I had to hold the forend, run, change hands, kick my body out, drop down in my natural alignment, get up in the aim, bang, bang, get back up again. There's lots of changing hands with that length going on there. And your rifle weighed about half
Probably.
of what mine did. So you had an easier time of it, but the left-handers had a
They did.
big advantage there.
But it's funny that I did this same thing with my rifle instinctively. My plan was usually I use my primary hand to get it on the pistol grip and have the control of the weapon. And on some competitions they use it like if I have to run in this direction, I just pull the rifle like here. I don't know why here instinctively when I went up, grabbed it with my left hand. Because I had to run there. So it was a lot of this kind of strange movement. And
There's a lot to think about in this stage.
I'll say this. I hear this in the audience quite a bit when it comes to looking at matches, whether it's two-gun or otherwise, and people say these artificial range rules are stupid and don't represent the real world. And while some of what we need to do here is artificial,
But it does represent something in the real world, which was a complete and utter safety, trigger, and muzzle discipline.
Absolutely.
Whether you have to do something artificial or not is irrelevant to the fact that you're being skilled at handling your weapon in a way that you need to in this environment. If you're in a different environment, say an apartment complex with 3 floors above you, that dictates X. If you're on a ship, that dictates Y. If you're at a match, this dictates ABC. But it's still about control of the weapon and being cognizant of what you're doing with the gun.
Yeah, okay, yeah, in a real life situation there isn't a 180. Or there may be a 180 if there's...
There might be a 10 depending on what you're dealing with.
You don't know. And we run on these constraints of 180s. I've been at IPSC matches where to actually enable them to run multiple stages without berms. There's this big military range complex in Denmark that's just this massive oval. And you shoot towards the middle of the oval. Impossible to have 180 because, well, it's an oval, there's the road there, you need to put stages. So we had some super tight safety angles and you had to obey that, and a lot of people who were used to absolute 180s got DQ'd because there was an orange marker, you couldn't put the muzzle beyond the orange marker, sorry, you're going home. And
On an introspective moment, I will say this. When I watched you guys run, I looked at my score and I was like, it was an acceptable score. But in reality, I looked at it and was like, this is something you got to think about it yourself. And I'm like, really? Honestly, if I really asked the question hard, I could have pushed myself harder. That's a mental stage. There's a physical element, there's a shooting element, but about that is more about pushing yourself past a comfort level to acquire better time. I got to a comfort level where I was like, good enough. And honestly, when I thought about it, if I dug deeper, I could have dug another 15 or 20 seconds out of my score, and that's being honest with myself, you guys, and the audience.
Two things that I noticed with my run. First, I didn't sprint as fast as I could. Maybe I was already a bit lazy because of the lunch and everything. But my my reasoning was, don't sprint too fast because your breathing will be really bad and you will not be able to aim and shoot. And then you come to that very heavy sandbag, you lift it up, and it doesn't matter. It'll be way better just to sprint. And in the end, also a couple of misses that I have. It was not because of breathing and everything, but I was so tired already that I caught myself aligning the side just like, almost on, not perfectly, and just like trying to press a shot like, will it go in? It didn't go. Shit.
it almost never does. Sometimes you get lucky and you remember the times you get lucky. But in general, it doesn't go.
But that was pretty much just on me. Like my laziness, you know. And
that's an honesty you got to take with yourself.
So
go ahead.
That was way outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I mean, the physicality, it rewarded good marksmanship skills. Definitely does. There might be big targets, there might be close. You can miss them. I missed one. Most people miss more than one. And one thing I'd found early on was that when I got standby, I'd stop breathing. And I caught myself on an earlier stage that was less physical. And I was like, standby. No, breathe! And so on that stage, which I knew was going to be physical, even waiting to stand by, I was consciously making an effort to, oxygenate. So I'd over breathe, knowing that the first thing I've got to do is drop prone and control myself and shoot 2 shots. Okay, up, hands, rifle, 180, safety catch on and off, and the foul's great for that. Or particularly the inch ones. Up, right, over breathe. I was really stuff that you take for granted in everyday life, like breathing. I mean, if you do distance running or sprinting, you get in the habit of controlling your breathing. Like I know I've got I know I've got a hill coming up, so I've got to get ahead of it. And I was, you don't have them in.
No, we got mountains and hills, and all sorts of awful things.
You don't go running in 40 degrees Celsius.
No.
So I was doing that, knowing that I had to get down. And I was going to have to control the breathing to make 2 good shots and then up again. And on my headcam footage, which will be posted probably just on my channel separately, that will come across because I'm.
Who has emphysema? So the answer is to hyperventilate. So it's funny. It's
not all the time.
Oh, come on. So
in a controlled fashion.
It's funny. I'm hearing of something that my sometimes co-host on InRange, Russell Fagan, Sinister Rifleman. You may have seen him on some of the other episodes. He always says this about stuff because he trudges through stages like this and always turns out an incredible time. And it's so much mental. And he's like, life sucks. It just sucks worse for 2 minutes. Like, he's like, I'm paraphrasing him, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true. And I was quite pleased that, as I said earlier, I could turn off the pain suck from the previous one. And in terms of digging digging deeper, if I hadn't had the injury from the previous one, yeah, I could probably have gone as hard as I had in the previous stage, but that was a limitation of the time, and I think I went about as quick as I could possibly have gone there. And
Well, I think if someone would be shooting at you,
You might
when
move
head
a little
to,
yeah,
faster.
probably gone a
yeah.
little faster. That would be an encouragement, certainly, to move a little faster.
So on that note, that does finish all 6 stages of Finnish Brutality 2019. These stages and all of these videos are being posted on multiple different channels. We've got Polenar Tactical, InRangeTV, and Bloke on the Range. So if you've missed some of our footage from Finnish Brutality 2019, make sure you check out the other 2 channels as well as InRangeTV, depending on which one you're watching it on, to make sure you get all of our coverage. There's one more video really left in this series between us 3 right now, which is we're going to have a final match conclusion, talk about our gear and stuff, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching.